Let's study film. Today's film study is going to be the Chargers defense against the Broncos offense from week 16 of the 2024-25 season. Okay, so here we are. First series for the Chargers defense. Denver's got the ball on their own 27, it looks like, 28-yard line. Okay, Denver has their ball on their own 20-yard. Denver has the ball on their own 28-yard line. We've got a tight end here. We've got an extra lineman here. All right, and then we've got a receiver here and two backs in the backfield. So this is a funky formation, but what I would say is this is what I would call a wing. Okay, we have a tight end. Anytime we have a tight end and a wing together, I'll call that collectively wing. Okay, so collectively that's called a wing. So that's wing 21, and there's one receiver there. There's two backs in the backfield. This fullback is offset to the strength, so that makes it an over. So this is I over. Okay, so again, that formation is wing 21 cut. He's going to cut split up here. All right, I over. Hit play. All right, this is just a power play to the left. We'll take a look at it from the other angle. Let's just see what coverage we're in. We're in some kind of 8-man box. Okay, so we have certain run gaps and run fits in an 8-man box. All right, so right here we go. Ball snapped. Here it goes. Fullback goes to the defense's left or to the right as we're looking at it. So right away, Perryman should be shooting his gun right there off the hip of this down block by the tackle inside of this tight end. All right. Chargers defensive ends are told to box these blocks here, so he'll box this fullback block. All right, that should put Henley right outside of the block of this tight end. Okay, who's going to go down to block Perryman. All right, let's see if it works out that way. Yep. Now Henley could have done this a little bit quicker. All right, but as you can see, all these gaps inside are taken up. All right, so we're talking about the edge right here. As 82 blocks down, 45 will come off this edge. He'll force this back inside. All right, Perryman does a really good job of shooting this gap right here to force the issue, so that as the puller comes around, see this guy is going to come around and try to kick Perryman. Well, Perryman gets there quick, beats him to it, fits inside of him, and allows Henley to run over the top of that. So you can see Henley sifting his way through there, runs over the top of that block, makes a good play. Again, watch Perryman. Perryman makes this play work. All right, we're talking about number 6 right there. He's coming downhill, fits inside that tight end, inside the blockers. Henley's the next one there. It's a nice job. Okay, next play. Okay, so this formation, we've got 1 down here, we've got 3 up here. So this is cut, because he's in a cut split. Cut 1, 3 up here in a cluster. So cut 13 cluster. We've got the running back is offset in shotgun away from the strength. So this is gun far, because the running back is away from or far from the strength. Okay, go ahead and start this play. All right, you can see the safety here coming down. So as the safety comes down, we know it's an 8-man box. All right, and that affects our run gaps. So that means it's 1 back, 1 gap, and an 8-man front. Okay. All right, here it comes. So regardless of who we're reading here, we'll go back to the other angle, but I want you to see a couple things. If we're reading the tailback, okay, what we should do is step with him, and as soon as he steps to our right, as inside backers, we step to the right and look to the right. We see this guy coming back the other way. That's called a contradiction. We should honor the contradiction, and now we rock back into our gaps on the left side. Okay, so we'll let that run, and then we'll go look at it from the other angle. Okay, here it is. Boom. As soon as he goes, whether we step this way or not, our next step is going to be this way, in this direction. Okay, so he's going to come back to this gap. Henley should come back outside of this block or inside of this block, depending on what Bosa does. I'm assuming Bosa is going to box this, so Henley will be here. Let's take a look. Nope. Okay, Bosa fits inside of it. So Henley will go outside of that. All right, we'll just move this over. Like that. He'll fit outside of that. Bosa's going inside of it. All right, like that. Okay, we got Perryman. Perryman should be taking this front side A gap right away. Looks like he hesitates a little bit. Yep. Kind of waits a little too long there, in my opinion. All right, but that's not the problem. The problem is on the backside. Let's take a look at what happens on the backside. Okay, so boom. As soon as that happens, he's got to fire his gun down in this B gap here. Okay, right now he's got to get here. All right, all the other gaps are taken up. So all he has to do is go fill this gap, stay real tight to the edge of this. Okay, real tight to the hip of this tackle or whoever this is, a guard, I guess. All right, and he's there to make that play, but he waits too long and allows 14 to climb him here. So you'll see him get in here and climb him. It makes that a real hard play for him. Luckily, Khalil Mack does a great job fighting this off. So does, who's that? So does Derwin James. Derwin James does a nice job. See how good he uses his hands right here? Watch Derwin James on the edge. Right here. Gets good extension, keeps extension while he's fighting to get to his gap instead of letting the guy climb on top of him. He keeps the extension, which keeps him away long enough to make that play. It's a good job. That's why he's one of the best in the league. All right. Here what we've got is we've got cut split here. We've got an off tight end here. Okay, so that would be cut off 22 off cut. All right, cut off 22 off cut. He's in a cut split, he's in a cut split. So we say cut for both sides. He's off and he's off, both in tight end positions, but off the ball, so they're both off. Cut off 22 off cut. All right, the back is at home or an I-backs, if you want to call it that, quarterback center center. Start the play. We get a toss. All right, anytime the ball is tossed off the line, as backers, we want to run, we want to get outside all blocks, knock the ball back inside. We always want to take away from the offense what they want. They want the outside, so we're going to take away the outside. And it looks like they're doing a really good job of running over the top of these blocks to get it all sent back inside. We did have one problem here on the edge. We'll talk about that from the other angle. All right, so you can see right here, 45. All right, he's the edge player. He's got to set contain here. He's got to set the edge. So he needs to work up the field here to cut this off. Once the ball is tossed, he needs to go straight up the field through 84's outside shoulder, cut off any chance for the ball to break outside of him. Problem is he's a little hesitant on this. Okay, well, it's 82. So he gets a down block by 84, fine. Now he's got to work up into 82's shoulder. He gets held a little bit and probably doesn't trigger as fast as he should, so they get the edge. I don't know if they got the holding penalty or not, but 7 does a nice job coming up to make this play. But take a look at Perryman and Henley. They're hauling ass to get outside of these blocks, right? And the reason is because they don't want to give the offense what the offense wants. The offense wants the outside. They're going to take away the outside. So you should see both of them fight to get over the top of all these blocks and try to get outside of all this to send it all back inside to their pursuit, which they do. It's pretty good. All right. That should bring up third down, I think. All right, here we go. I'll stop it right before he gets out. All right, so it looks like we got a tight end here. We got 2 receivers out here. We got 1 here. So this is 13, right, because there's 3 up here. 1, and then 3 up here. This one is an on-the-ball tight end, so we call it 13 on. Okay, then we have shotgun, so that's gun, and the back is offset to the tight end or to the strength, so that's near. So again, that's 13 on, gun near. All right, let's take a look at what the play is. Okay, it's a pass. So let's take a look at what coverage they're in. Looks to me like they're in a 2-high shell, so they must be in some kind of either 2 or 4. Looks to me like they might be in cover 2 down here at the bottom. It might be in cover 4 at the top. It looks like they might be in cover 2 at the top as well. Yeah. So cover 2 all the way across. So what does cover 2 mean? Cover 2 means they've got 2 deep guys. If we have 2 deep guys, that means we have 5 underneath cover guys. Okay, so there's 6 zones underneath, and there's 5 guys. Those 6 zones are the strong flat, the strong curl, the strong hook, and then you have the weak hook, the weak curl, and the weak flat. All right, so because there's 5 guys underneath, everybody has one of those zones except the Mike backer who has both hooks, the strong and the weak. All right. So that means that the flat player, the corners in this case, are playing outside of number two, all the way out to the sideline. Okay. So you could also think about it as being under number one. But flat, the word flat means that they're outside number two all the way to the sideline. Okay. Curl, this guy and this guy are curls. This one and this one are two curl players. Okay. And so they're going to be inside number two, the number two receiver to their side. So there's number two on that one. Okay. And the tricky thing about this one is if we count from outside in, here's one down here, this receiver down at the bottom. This is number two here. All right. In the backfield. So we got to keep that in mind. If we have number two in the backfield, we still play him as number two. So this linebacker here, who's Henley, I believe, has to relate to this number two. We'll take a look at it from the other angle. Okay, Perryman's got number 3, and he does a good job there because he has both hooks. That's the tight end. All right. Let's go to the other angle. Okay, when the guy motions out, we talked about the formation. Okay, so right now, 82, there's 3 receivers out here. 82 is number 3. Okay, so Perryman is going to be relating to him. And 20, the running back, is number 2 to the weak side. We have one out here. He's the second guy in. Okay, so Henley, the curl player to the weak side, is going to relate to him. And you can see his eyes are locked on him right here. Okay, so they get hi-hat. There's the hi-hat right there. They get into their drops. Henley's relating to 2 very nicely. That's good. All right. And Perryman's relating to 3. That's perfect. And we just got to drive on the ball. It's a good break. Now, when we talk about pass breaks and zone coverage, ideally we want to be breaking forward as soon as the front hand of the quarterback comes off the ball. All right, so let's watch this. Front hand just came off. Henley's got a good forward lean. Let's see if his next step is forward. It is. It's not a great break, but it's not a bad break. He's not drifting backwards, and that's what we want. If he had a little bit more weight forward here and was anticipating this throw a little bit sooner, he probably gets to that guy before he gets a chance to turn his shoulders up the field. But as it stands, it's pretty good. Okay, so next play. I think they must have got the first down. All right, now we've got, let me freeze it there. We've got 1 receiver to the bottom. Okay, 1 to the bottom, 3 to the top. These are cut splits here, very tight splits. So we could call this a stack, or we could call this wing, or we could call this whole thing. Regardless of what this is called, this is 13, right? So I would call this 13 wing or 13 cut. All right, either way is fine. The running back is offset with the quarterback in shotgun. He's offset away from the strength, so this is gun far. Gun far. Okay, so again, that's 13 wing, gun far. All right, we could call this a nasty formation too. Some people call that nasty. All right. Here comes motion. All right, before the ball is snapped, right before the ball is snapped, he's in the proximity of these guys, so this makes this a cluster. 3 receivers in close proximity, close to the core like this, is called cluster. All right, so now we have 13 cluster, the ball is snapped, we still have gun far. All right, it's a run play. We'll take a look at the fits from the other angle. Let's see what coverage we're in. We're in man coverage, obviously, because you can see this corner up top is tracking this receiver all the way across the field, so he must be in man coverage. He ran right by the ball carrier. Wow. No awareness on that. Okay. All right. So man coverage is an 8-man front. We'll take a look at it from the other angle. Okay, ball snapped. There it goes. All right. Now, what we should notice, all right, as these 2 linebackers, whether we're reading the back, let's say we're reading the back first, okay? Back's going to step this way, right? Back steps this way, so it's fine if we want to both step that way too. The other option is to read 17, who's in a wing position, okay? He's in a position where clearly he could be a blocker going back in the other direction. He is a good indicator. But let's say we looked at him first, right? So we both should step this way first. Then our eyes should snap out in front of us to the play side of offensive line. When we see that this guy is coming back against the grain, that's called a contradiction. Anytime we see that, we want to honor the contradiction. We need to rock back the other way now. Okay? So we abandon the gaps that we were initially aiming for, and we go to the gaps that we are now assigned based on this guy coming back across. Okay? So as he comes back across, all of a sudden our gaps change. They go from, we have two options to start the play. Once this is declared, then we know which way we're going. So we've got Bosa out here. Okay, he's going to be the force guy here. We've got 95 in this gap here, so we don't have to worry about that. That's gone. All right, this one is going to be gone. All right. But as 17 comes over to this side, what he's going to do is he's going to make a new gap over here. You see, so if Bosa stays outside of that, there's another gap inside of that right here that Perryman needs to address. So he needs to get down here. Okay. Henley, all right, when he sees, so this is man coverage. So ultimately what we would like here is for Perryman to be on one side of 33 and Henley to be on the other side of 33. Henley, I don't know what he's looking at, but he doesn't get the memo here. He doesn't see anything right. I guess he has 85 man to man, and maybe that's why he goes out there. But Perryman needs to get. See, he gets stuck on the wrong side of that block. When that guy's pulling back across, he needs to get where inside of Bosa here. All right. He sees the initial step of the back and he steps with that. But he never sees this guy pulling back across. See, again, this guy's pulling back across. He doesn't see that. Because he doesn't see that, they end up one guy short over here where Bosa is. All right, and the back squeezes right inside of that. Okay, so again, if we're reading the back, that's fine. But as soon as we take one step with the back, we need to look out to the opposites, or excuse me, to the flow side line over here. So that's all these guys here on that side of the line. All right. And we should see 17, or we will see color, opposite color, working back across the grain or against the grain. All right. Again, that's called a contradiction, and we always want to honor the contradiction. All right. So Perryman, who's normally very good at this, should step right and then immediately see this puller step back to the left. Okay, as he sees it. Instead, he gets caught up in there, he gets lost, and there's a big gain. Good job by Henley coming over and making the stop eventually. Okay, so here we got cluster over here on this side. There's three receivers in close proximity, close to the core. So that's cluster. All right, cluster 3. There's 3 there, and there's 1 over here with a cut split. So this is cluster 31 cut. Okay, cluster here, cut here. Cluster 3, 1 cut here. Okay, cluster 31 cut. The back is at home in an I back. Again, not I backs, but I back, meaning there's only one of them. All right, looks like LA's got a guy coming down here, another guy spinning back, which means we're in a single high coverage, which means we're in an 8-man front. Okay, 8-man front with 1 back in the backfield is 1 back, 1 gap. So as soon as this play starts, if it's a run, which it is not, we all just have 1 gap and we can go hit it. All right. As it turns out, because we're in cover 3, cover 3. Okay, in cover 3, the corners are going to be gone, right? They're taking off. He's got deep third. He's got to get out of there. The remaining safety has deep third. He's got to get out of there. Okay, the other side corner has got a third. He's going to be out of there. All right, which leaves 4 underneath cover guys. Okay, anytime you have cover 3, you've got 4 underneath cover guys. But in this particular one, there's a blitz. Right, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys rushing, which means we only have 3 guys underneath. All right, so this is a cover 3 fire zone. Fire zone just means that there are going to be 5 guys rushing the passer, so there's 1 fewer guy to available in coverage. We've got 3 deep. That means we got 3 under. With 6 underneath zones possible and 3 defenders for them, each defender has to have 2 zones. Okay, so you're going to have Perryman is going to have curl flat on this side, curl to flat here like that. All right, which means he's got to relate to the inside of 2 all the way to the outside of 2 if 2 takes him to the flat. And what you'll see here is he gets a little bit caught up by this run fake, and he's late to get out to the flat. You see that? We'll watch it from the other angle. Also, he aggravates his already injured groin on this play and is not able to come back in the game. So hopefully he's better soon. But you can see he gets caught up in the run fake a little bit. Probably takes too many steps. He needs to take one step at the back, see how flat the linemen are, realize it's a pass, and then immediately get out to the flat. Okay. He's got to turn and go. Now Henley gets caught up too. Henley is the strong and weak hook curl player, right? He's got both hooks. So he's related to number 3. Well, right now 3 is in the backfield. All right. But as soon as he realizes it's a pass, he needs to spin and find this guy crossing, the tight end, crossing across the field like this, and that's his guy. Okay, because he becomes the new number 3 player, and he's got the hook, which means he's relating to him. All right. So this is just a bootleg pass. Now he tries to zone turn this, which is very difficult. He could just man turn this and just face him and speed turn it and turn back and try to run with him. But he tries to zone turn it. Takes too long. Not a very good play all the way around. Like I said, Perryman re-aggravates his groin there. Okay, the next one. What do we have? We have an off the ball tight end here and 2 receivers down here. Okay, so this is 2 guys. One is off the ball tight end, right? He's in a cut. So this is cut off 22. All right. So there's one back in the backfield and he's at home. We have a single high safety here, meaning we're in an 8-man front of some sort. All right. Anytime we have an 8-man front, we have 1 back, 1 gap. Our rule is 1 back, 1 gap. So as soon as there's a run play, we can just go attack our gap. We don't have 2 different possibilities. Okay, so let's go ahead and watch this. All right, we'll take a look from the other angle so we can see our run fits. All right, 1 back, 1 gap. All right, we got Derwin James is down in the box, so he's going to have this C gap right there. All right, which puts Henley right in this A gap here. That's the available gap in front of him. And then Junior Colson in this B gap here. Okay, all the rest of the gaps are taken up by the D line. All right, now watch. As soon as that ball is snapped and it's a run, boom, they can all just take off to those gaps. Okay, once again, they can hit these gaps full speed. He can go right here, all right, which should be outside Bosa. All right, he can go right. Oops. Henley can go right here. All right, and Colson can go right here. Now, the way that the Chargers play it, which a lot of teams do, is they'll allow the ignore that. All right, let's take that out of there. They'll allow the defensive end to chase from behind. Okay, so when he gets this, Dupree gets this down block from the tackle, he's going to chase the hip of that tackle and keep chasing down the line of scrimmage, which cancels this backside B gap. Okay, so the gap that Colson was assigned to was that B gap, but now when he gets to here, he can play outside of this and become the new wind back or cut back defender here. Okay. All right, so let's see if it works that way. Yeah, so Colson does a good job of winding back, right? He lets Dupree take the backside. Dupree makes the play. All right, and then Henley, of course, he's got that front side A gap. Okay, and looks like his the 3 technique over here gets overtaken by 77, so he ends up in his gap, and everyone just has to adjust off of that. Okay, but he does a good job falling back and finding. Now, this is man coverage. All right, and because it's man coverage and there's only 4 rushers, Colson and Henley actually are sharing this back. And because they're sharing this back, they want to keep the ball between them. So Henley's going to make sure that he stays on the front side of this running back, and Colson's going to make sure he stays on the back side of this running back, and they're going to sandwich him. Okay, and if you watch, they do a pretty good job of that. Yep, that's pretty good defense there. All right, the next one is we got 1 receiver down here. We've got a tight end, another tight end, and a receiver up here. Okay, so this is cut 13 wing. This is in a wing, right? And this receiver is also cut, so we could say cut 13 wing cut. And the backfield is a home back, right, or I back. Quarterback's under center, so he doesn't need a designation. All right, and it looks like we got a safety that's coming down into the box late, or it might be some kind of quarters coverage. Let's see. Looks like we got man at the bottom or cover 2. I think we're in man coverage here. It's hard to tell. All right, but what it is for sure is an 8-man box. So let's go back and look and see if everyone finds their gaps. Okay. Ball snap. There it goes. Okay. So as we said before, 8-man box, one back in the backfield. This is one back, one gap. All right. So as the two inside backers here are looking at it, they can go ahead and attack these gaps and try to keep the ball between them. Okay, so he can go straight there. Colson can go all the way to this A gap here because he's got a safety coming down to play the C gap here. All right, let's see if it shakes out that way. Yep. Okay, so Colson gets caught a little bit short here. You see his 3 technique gets cut out of the gap there. And because he gets cut out of that gap, Colson's a little slow to get over the top and gets washed by the play. The safety does a really good job of coming up and making up for that, though. All right, even though it's too big of a gain, honestly. All right, next play. All right, so now after the motion, what we've got is, again, we could call this, I would call this eye over or pistol over, all right? But the formation is we got 1 tight end on the ball and 2 receivers to this side. So that would be on 12, okay? There's 1 on this side, there's 2 on that side, on 12, left to right. All right, I would consider this guy a fullback because he's behind and inside the last man on the line of scrimmage in the core. So I'll call him a fullback. That's who I would be reading here, okay? All right, let's see what coverage we're in. Looks like a 2 high shell. Does it stay that way? Oh, it's a false start. We're not going to worry about this. We'll go to the next play. All right, so formation. We got 1 here. We've got sort of a nasty split right there. Okay, so we got cut splits here. So this would be 13 off cut, all right? Or this could even be 13 nasty, okay? Or this could be, I would just call this 13 off cut. That's what I would call that. 13 off cut. We have shotgun and the back is offset to the strength. So that's over or near, near. When it's a tailback, it's near and far. When it's a fullback, it's over or under. Okay, so in this case, it's a tailback. He's near. All right, ball's snapped. Got a puller this way. All right, but this is a pass. All right, so this is a throwback screen. Now, here's what we're going to talk about on this. A screen is fit very much like a run or just like a run. Okay, so once the screen is established, once you've decided it's a screen, now we actually have gaps. Let's go to the other side so we can see what that looks like. Okay, we'll just watch the screen develop. Boom. Okay, good. So right now what we have is the flat defender on this side, who's this corner coming up right here. Okay, flat defender is the force player. Okay, in any coverage, the flat defender is the force player. So he's got to get here. The next defender that gets to the party has got to get inside the next block or outside the next. He's got to handle the next gap, which is this one here. Okay, so you see Henley is fighting really hard to get in that gap. All right, and then the next guy in the fray, which will probably be Colson from back here, has got to get to the next gap, which is there. Okay, all right, let's see how that works. Oop. Okay, so Henley's gap gets exposed. Let's see what happened. Okay, yeah, you can see Henley kind of peeks inside. Watch. He's on 74 there. His head pops inside, and that's just long enough for the back to get outside and give him too much running room.